All right, everybody, come on in, come on in. Thank you all so much for being here. Welcome back to another Wild Card Wednesday. Um, on Wednesdays, Lucy and I have been reviewing the ReesaTeesa TikTok saga. I believe we are up to episode 3, and we are taking a look at it and seeing what we can learn from it. For anybody new here, hi, I am Maggie, the substitute teacher. You may know me from my cooking channel. I make food and femininity content. Luke Hazley and I are the founders of the Finishing School for the Modern Woman, where we teach ladies of all ages how to be the best version of themselves. We got some students in the chat. So yes, we like to give back, and this is what we're doing. Lucy, please introduce yourself.
Hello all. Thank you for having me on. Happy Wednesday. It's so beautiful here in California. The weather is, let's see, what's the temperature today? Here in Cali, 72 degrees. It's just amazing. Um, and yes, I have a channel. I used to post Spanish teaching from like beginning to more advanced, but now I changed the content to more of elegance, feminine issues for women of over a certain age. And I haven't posted much because I think that I like my live streams with you, Maggie, and the wives clubs, and and I want to tell you, our followers are amazing. I was invited to a Saturday live stream by Samuel the Infamous. They talk about politics and everything else. And all I wrote on sharing the stream was guest. And Condemnia, Lisa, I think Aaron Laura showed up. And I felt bad because they felt bad because they started acting out like, when they're boys or men, they're talking about things that usually they do amongst themselves. And they felt terrible because they were not aware that I had streamed the session, and they were so apologetic by, for acting a certain way because, we had people from our environment in their stream, and that felt so good because men understand when there are ladies and gentlemen around and when there are not. So thank you, Samuel, for having me on, and thank you all you our followers for being so um, gracious on coming into different topics that are not necessarily about femininity or elegance. So thank you, our wonderful followers.
Absolutely. We are building a community here. All are welcome. You all, thank you for supporting Lucy. Thank you for supporting me. We just appreciate you, and those of you who who are outspoken, you know that your voice is always welcome here. So thank you. And you're right, Lucy. I love what you said about when there's a lady in mixed company, men and women recognize. I have had that experience where sometimes people are like, ooh, okay, maybe I shouldn't say that, maybe I shouldn't do that. And it's wonderful. I saw a meme somewhere that a lady doesn't have to announce that she's a lady, she just is. So if you're interested in that type of content, stay tuned. We are going to get started. I see you all coming in here. All right, so what are we doing? We are up to episode 3, so I'm going to share my screen. And just a quick recap in case you all don't know, on TikTok, there was a series that went completely viral, meaning like 400 million views. There was a woman, her name is ReesaTeesa, and with permission, we are reviewing this, not to make fun or mock anybody, but I always believe we can learn from what other people do and don't do. So in 2020, during the pandemic, she was online dating. She met a man, dated him, married him, divorced him. Oh, I forgot the moved in. Dated him, moved in, married him, divorced him, all in one calendar year. So it was very, let's just say, chaotic. She thought she knew who she married. How could she in that quick of a time? But she went to TikTok to tell her story. And so we are unpacking it episode by episode. So I'll play a little bit in her words, and then we will give our take as two older women. And then we always love to hear what you all have to say in the chat. So I am going to mute myself and we will begin.
The fuck did I marry? So this is when he showed me a letter from Chase with the Chase logo at the top, stating that he had been approved for a mortgage for a $750,000 mortgage or $750,000 house. So he was like, we can't go over 750. And I said, I remember asking him, can you afford the mortgage on a $750,000 house? Because I know I can't. This is when he explains to me, I told you how I played arena football. I invested my money really well. So he said, I have money that will help pay for the mortgage. He was like, we're good. Like, I'm financially, I am okay. He was like, that's why I'm able to get approved for a $750,000 mortgage. So he told me that his money was in different savings accounts. He said he had an account with Chase Bank, he had an account with US Bank, and he had an offshore account. This is what he told me. The offshore account, I was like, why? And he explained something about, oh, the US, the US imposes taxes on money when you have a certain amount in US banks. He was like, so everybody knows that it's smart to have some money in an offshore account. Y'all, look, I live paycheck to paycheck. I was like, okay, that's whatever. I said, so you have the money to pay for a home. I'm also holding in my hand a letter from Chase saying that he was approved for $750,000. So I went off of what I saw. So we contacted a realtor. I won't say his name, but man, if he ever sees this TikTok, I owe this man such an apology. But we
All right, so let's unpack and let's recap. So where we are in the story, they've been on a few dates. Within a couple weeks of dating in 2020, and she's here in the Atlanta area, the state of Georgia went on lockdown, and together they asked, where are we going to quarantine? We already talked about that last week. Huge red flag. You basically have moved a stranger in. And admittedly, she said is because she did not want to quarantine alone. Not a good reason. So now they're living together, and the conversation comes up about buying a home. The backstory is that this man said he moved for his job. He was in a little studio apartment, moved in with her, and then is saying, I'm qualified to buy a $750,000 home. Again, we've talked about this, another red flag. You don't go from living, very modest studio apartment to a $750,000 home. So all of the talking that he's doing is another red flag we talked about. Masculine men don't really explain every move that they make because they don't have to. They just let their actions speak for themselves. And I would just say, ladies, if a man says he's qualified to buy a house, you sit back and you allow him to do that. And we, if you believe in something traditional, we adjust our lifestyle to theirs. All right, Lucy, what would you add?
Yes, all that talking and showing should have been something that should have raised 100 flags because, again, a man is not going to show you what he's got in his account. A man is not going to tell you what he's got in his account. His actions will tell you what it is that he's got. I can tell you that when my husband purchased this land and built the house for me, I knew it was happening because I could see it. It wasn't because he told me that Chase had approved them. It's because we were seeing the walls coming up, and it was after we were married. So again, she's planning this life even without being married to the guy. So again, it's really telling, unfortunately, how easy we are to um, get manipulated when we are in a rush to fall in love or to get married.
Absolutely. And I love that. That is so like old fashioned, and I mean that in a good way. A man who builds a home for his woman. That's just so beautiful and so sweet. I absolutely love that. And yes, ladies, the takeaway on that one, we watch what they do, not what they say. And if they say, it should be followed up with action. All right, so let's go back and pick up where we left off.
We contacted a realtor who was based in Cobb County because I was very adamant I wanted to move back to Marietta, Smyrna area in Cobb County, Georgia. He was fine with that. His whole attitude was, you're going to be my wife, happy life. So we met a realtor. I would find houses that I wanted to tour. Keep in mind that this was COVID. So at the time, we could not tour a home. It would have to be a virtual tour. So this particular realtor, we found a house in Douglasville, Georgia. Not Cobb County, but nevertheless it's in Douglasville. I was fine with Douglasville. So we found a house in Douglasville, Georgia. The realtor did a FaceTime tour of the house. The house was really a nice home. 5 bedrooms, 4 baths. So we did a FaceTime tour of the home, and the home was listed, I believe, roughly 400 and something thousand. I really like the house. I could see myself living there. I could see us living there. I could see us with the kid there. This is now April, just for timeline purposes. This is April. So he really liked the house. He was like, you know what, we'll put an offer in on the house. He was like, if you like it, because again, it was COVID, we weren't going to be able to see the house in person because the family still lived there. So he said, I'll put an offer in. We'll see if it's accepted. I said, okay. So he puts an offer in. He's telling me he put an offer in. I need to clarify some things he told me and the things that I actually saw. So for this house in Douglasville, he told me he was putting an offer in. The realtor would call me because one thing that the realtor told us, he was like, if the woman likes the house, typically the house is going to get bought. So he kind of dealt with me a bit more than he did my ex-husband.
All right, so let's pause there and unpack. So many things happening. So she clarified that this was in April. I believe they met in January. Ladies, this is what, 4 months that she has known this man. They have moved in together, and apparently he is shopping for $3 and $4 and $700,000 homes. This is not real. It never happens this way. You will not meet a stranger and then he will take you on a house shopping spree. For the home is usually the biggest investment that all of us have. But if you notice her language when she was talking, I wanted a home. I love this home. I could see myself in this home. The realtor was talking to me. She was leading. She was 100%. And I know some of us have, as a reformed modern woman, I can hear the language. She was out front basically saying, this is what I want and it's going to happen. Whether or not we realize that we're leading, but you see, we're reviewing this because obviously it didn't have a happy ending. But when you blow past all the warning signs because you want it so bad, doggone it, we're going to make this happen. You find yourself basically out there alone. So again, especially when it comes to a home, a man is not going to, one, buy a home for a stranger, two, go from basically homeless to buying a, $500,000 house, and then three, he's not going to tell you every step of the way what's happening. All right, Lucy, what would you add?
I'm glad you pointed out the fact that she was saying, I wanted to do this. I was the one. That is a really good observation because it was all about her. It was about what she wanted, where she wanted, when she wanted it. And I think that when it comes to those people that are working to manipulate others, that man caught on to her, all the desires and her whims and all that she wanted, and started feeding her uh, a dream that was never going to happen.
So that is so true. So we will pick up. So a couple things, ladies. Again, this whole thing about, I want this to happen. What you're literally telling a man when you just put everything that you want on the table, especially if he doesn't have good intentions. He's like, oh, you've just given me the keys to the kingdom. Now you told me you like flowers, chocolates, and roses, or flowers, chocolates, and cards. So I'm just going to get flowers, chocolates, and cards. Oh, you're a purse lady? I'll just keep buying purses. Oh, you're a shoe lady? I'll keep buying shoes. So you can see here, instead of waiting, sitting back, and observing, because a man who wants to buy a house is going to buy a house. A man who wants to work is going to work. A man who wants to propose to you is going to propose to you. Again, the takeaway on this is when it comes to relationships, men lead, we either accept with grace or we exit with grace. But 10 times out of 10, when you put yourself in front, you will find yourself alone. Believe me. All right, so let us continue.
And again, this is April 2020. This is before we got married. So at the time, he was my boyfriend. So the realtor was calling me and was like, "Hey, I put the offer in, and what they're asking for is proof of funds." And I didn't know I did not know anything at this time about buying a house. So I was like, "Hey, you probably need to talk to him because I'm not even listed on the mortgage. Like, from the paperwork I saw, it was only in his name." So he called him. I guess they talked. I was not there, but I'm assuming that they had talked. So the boyfriend is coming, my ex is coming home saying, "Yeah, I talked to so-and-so. I sent him over the paperwork. The offer was approved, and they are going to try to do a virtual closing. First, we got to do an inspection. If the inspection goes all well, then we have to do a virtual closing." He also told me that he put down earnest money on the home. He put down, I believe, $5,000. He said, I just transferred the money over to the realtor's account or whatever, so that it could be earnest money for the house. So I'm just like, okay, great. He was like, so realistically, this is April. We should be able to get in that house by June. Okay, no problem. So this is what he told me. About 3 or 4 days later, I get a phone call from the realtor, and the realtor is like, "Hey, I'm just checking to see what you guys want to do about that house." So I was confused. I'm at work, and I said, "Oh, I was told that he put an offer in," and the realtor was like, "He did? I didn't know that he put an offer in." And I said, "Well, why wouldn't you know? Like, he told me he put the offer in, and he had paid earnest money, $5,000 earnest money." And so the realtor was like, "Well, let me call him and find out what's going on with that, because I didn't know anything about it." So red flag, of course. So I call him, and he, in true narcissistic nature, he flips the script and he like goes off. He's like cussing, going off, like he shouldn't, excuse me, I have the hiccups. He shouldn't be calling you. If he has a question, he should call me because I'm the one that's on a mortgage. He was like, and now it's, it's going to be an issue. And I said, well, did you put the offer in with him or not? And he said, no, I did not put the offer in with him. I put the offer in with a friend of mine who is a realtor. So I
Gosh. Okay. So now let's unpack this part of the story. So, admittedly, she is very excited. They found the house that she wants. The man has told her, absolutely, I'm going to put an offer in and put $5,000 worth of earnest money, which to me sounded a little bit low, but that's neither here nor there. Her mind is already 10 steps ahead. Instead of waiting to kind of see what's really happening here, she's already envisioning herself in the house. So many red flags have gone off already. They've known each other 4 months. But the realtor calls her and is asking, do you all want this house or not? And she has been told, oh yeah, I put an offer down. The moment there is a disconnect like that, time out. Like, we're not moving forward with anything. That's a huge gap in the story. The other thing that's a huge red flag, when she asked her boyfriend about this home purchase, you heard her say he went off. And she used the word in true narcissistic fashion. We talked about this on week 1. Ladies, I don't care what you call it. We are not psychologists. We are not diagnosing anybody. Either you have the character befitting of a husband or you don't. I don't care if it's personality disorder, narcissist, attachment, whatever. We need to stop worrying about trying to be right and say, okay, is this the man that I want to live the next 40, 50 years with? We have a saying here in the South, hit dog a holler, which means, oh, okay. You all have seen this with kids. When you ask them a question, no, I didn't take it. I didn't take it. And the reaction is so overperformed, there's something going on there. So instead of saying, I wonder why he's responding this way, she just tells him, well, you need to talk to the realtor. Basically, go ahead and fix this because in my mind, we've already moved. What would you add, Lucy?
Yeah, one of the things that was interesting was that she said that whatever paperwork he was showing to her only had his name on it. So, were they married by when they were looking at that stuff? And if that was the case, then why should it have her name on a house that he is purchasing? So again, it's really strange how some assumptions that she made just because they were in love. Um, and the fact that when she confronted him, asked questions, he seemed to overreact. That again would have been, yeah, no, this cannot go on. We either need a time away from each other until you cool off or whatever, or this may not be for me. I will not accept somebody going off that way for a question that I asked. And again, for me, I wouldn't ask any questions because I would be chill and watching my husband do whatever he needs to do to get me the house without even asking because I know that he's making the right decisions for us. Again, that's when you have that commitment, you've signed the paperwork, you know who you're working with instead of asking a man questions. And of course, he went off because there was some shady stuff already happening and he didn't want to be questioned.
Absolutely. So many good points there. And I see you all in the comments. We're going to finish the video and then we'll come back to what you all are saying because I definitely want to bring you all in the conversation. But it's so true, ladies. So many things here. We've got to be able to use wisdom in relationships. Like I always say, the purpose of dating, and they moved way too fast. They shouldn't even been living together, but the purpose of dating is to determine if this person is a good match for marriage or long term. If you want something traditional, that's what we promote over here. So if you start to see these red flags, people are who they are. You're not going to be consistent in one area and just all over the place over here. I agree with Lucy. My man, he's already a homeowner. So if he's buying a home, he knows what he's doing. There's not all these missing pieces and just weirdness happening. But let us continue and then we will come back for more.
I can give him the business. So I did not hear from that realtor again. So I was just like, is the house under contract or is it not? He was like, yes, the house is under contract. This is how crazy things work out. About 3 days later, on realtor.com, I'm looking at the house because I was trying to figure out in my mind how I'm gonna decorate. It shows the house is under contract. So, showed my boyfriend. My boyfriend's like, I told you it was under contract. He was like, like, did you not believe me? And I ain't had a heart to say, hell no, I didn't believe you. Like, it seemed too good to be true. But once I saw the house was under contract, I absolutely believe that, okay, it's under contract with him. Like, yeah, we're about to do inspection. We are about to move. And so we had driven by the house because, again, keep in mind, a family's still living there. So we had driven by the house. At this point, he was like, I want us to start looking for furniture so that way we can go ahead and order it. So when it's time to move, the furniture is ready because, it takes like 6 to 8 weeks sometimes for furniture to be delivered if they don't have it in stock. Like, he was very methodical and planning and saying, this is what we need to do. So we started going to Home Depot, Lowe's, because we had a printout of what the sellers were going to take. They were going to take the appliances. He had a printout. Let me be clear. He had a printout. So it said on there that they were going to take the appliances. So we needed to get a new stove, new refrigerator, new microwave, all that stuff. So we went to Home Depot and Lowe's, and I went ham. I chose all these new appliances, and here's where we get into the shopping.
All right, everybody. So let's unpack this and see what we can learn. I think you're seeing a theme here. She was focused on that shiny new toy. She wanted what she wanted. She never said her age, but I would put her over 35 because there was a pregnancy down the line and she says it was high risk. So she thought this was her time. For whatever reason, she thought this man that she just met off the internet was going to make all of her marriage, home, and family dreams come true after 4 months. But you heard her say she was already picturing herself in the house, how she was going to decorate. He told her we need to go appliance shopping. She was like a kid in a candy store. I want this, I want that. And ladies, we have a wonderful skill in nurturing and making a house a home, but we don't have the skill of discipline and patience, myself included. We have to wait. Hopefully you all are seeing she is out front. She is gone. And that man is just like, oh yeah, I could tell her anything and I've got her wrapped around my finger. It's so dangerous. We have to learn how to wait. Everything will come in time. If this is your forever, then you don't have to rush it because you just blow past so many red flags. What would you say, Lucy?
I want to say thank you, Salty New Yorican, for the super sticker. I think it's yes. We appreciate you being here following us, and this is the cherry on top of this discussion. Um, so yeah, what I wanted to say about the last part that she had, one of the things that kind of confused me a little bit is that she was talking about some list. What list? Some printout. What printout? Where was he printing that stuff from? Was it the real estate? What did he have a printer at home where he was? Oh my goodness. Thane. Thane. Did you see it?
So slow. Oh my goodness. Lucy, please finish. But Salty New Yorican, my first time seeing you here. Welcome. Thank you for the $10 super chat. I just put you in the banner, but you all know him and you love him. Our biggest supporter. Thane comes in with the $100, shutting us all down, saying, overlook counsel from the men in your family at your own peril. Ladies, take it from the men. And they protect us because they love us. They're not trying to keep us from anything. They're trying to protect us from the chaos that we create. Go ahead, Lucy. Let me update the banner.
And that Thane brings an excellent point, because I think that in some of the chats, there were some comments about, people not understanding how they didn't bring it up with their family members, somebody that they loved. And she said it, that she was kind of embarrassed to bring it to the family. And that goes back to me going, if you're keeping it a secret, it's already not good. So again, keeping secrets from the people that love you because you think you're going to be embarrassed, or you think that you're going to get back lash, or they're going to tell you not to go. You already know that it's not a good situation.
Oh my goodness, absolutely. So let's see what you all are saying in the chat, and then we may have time to go on to the next episode. But you all are seeing the pattern here, and thank you all for shouting out Thane. And if you would put Salty in the chat as well, we appreciate you all so, so much. I'm just going to go through the comments and see what you all are saying, and whatever red flags that you all see, because we do this as a way of giving back. None of us are perfect, but we can absolutely learn from what she did right and what she did wrong. So yes, we talked about the realtor and buying this house. I know a lot of times people think, well, the ways of old, don't matter anymore. But I think there is a reason. Ladies, we've talked about this. A man proposes because he is basically providing at his level. So we want to wait and we want to observe. Again, we either accept or we exit. But getting out there and talking to the realtor and making all these plans and decorating, you're going to put yourself in a situation where if you have a man of bad character, he's just going to lie to tell you what you want. Or you may be so far gone in this dream that you have and say, well, I need to have this caliber man to make those dreams come true. I just think if we slow down, we'll get what really matters to us. Black Reppin says, a man who's empowered by his woman will find out and know what to do and get effortlessly. Yes, we talked about that, ladies. So, definitely be honest, but if you show that dangling that little carrot in front of you just unlocks everything, that's exactly what's going to happen. Sincerely, Scorpio, you're enjoying this. Thank you so much. And yes, you all saw that. Who puts the earnest money in an account, in their personal account? There's just so much that is wrong here. And we talked about this in a previous stream. Sad to say, but this shows that she really hasn't had dating experience or relationship experience with men that move on their purpose, because basically she can hear anything, and like Thane said, she's not bouncing it off the men in her life because she knows something is wrong. She's keeping this to herself, and she doesn't even have anything in her own life experience to compare this to that says something's a little fishy here. So we really have to be careful about that. All right. Everybody's doing well. Just checking in. Thank you again, Salty. Yes. Gosh, yes. All right. And thank you all for shouting out Thane in the chat. We appreciate the men here who keep us protected and support us. So thank you, thank you, thank you. Anything else, Lucy, or should we go on to the next episode?
Next one.
All right, part 3. Who the fuck did I marry? So this is when he showed me a letter from Chase. All right, part 4. So we go to Home Depot, we go to Lowe's. I'm choosing all these appliances. He's taking pictures of this of the SKU number. We have representatives helping us, and he basically explained to them, "Hey, we're buying a house. We should be closing sometime in June. Can we order this stuff now? Can I put a hold on it? Like, what can we do? Because we're not ready for delivery." I stood there as the Home Depot rep said, "We can hold it in our warehouse. Like, you can buy something and we can hold it." People do it all the time, especially with COVID. So I watched him pay. I want to say it was about it was either $350 or $500. I watched him pay a deposit on a whole new set of appliances for them, and they were going to hold it until we were ready for delivery. I watched this. So I was like, okay, good deal. Like, we got the appliances. Next, let's go to Rooms to Go and Ashley Furniture and find actual furniture. So we went all around Rooms to Go. We went to Ashley Furniture. We went to American Signature. And I saw all these things that I wanted. Again, he's taking pictures of it. He was like, I can go online and order it. I didn't think anything of it because, again, I just saw that we held the appliances. So I was like, okay, that's fine. So April turns into May. May 2020 comes. This is where things start to get a little interesting. May comes, and obviously we had not done inspection. And I'm asking him all the time, what's the deal with the house? He was like, oh, because of COVID, they're trying to get someone to do the inspection. But the guy that they had, it was always something. The guy they had caught COVID, so they're going to have to get somebody else. And he's like 15 houses backed up, so it'll be a while. So at this point in May, I know I look crazy. In this point in May of 2020, I started recording audio diaries. I don't know why.
Oh my God. Oh my God. Dane again. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. So Thane brings up the comment, you all are seeing the theme here. I wanted, not we wanted, so many red flags here. Okay, so I'll update the banner again, but ladies, you can see this woman has ridden off into the sunset. She is a kid in a candy store. She wants the house, number 1. She wants appliances, number 2. Now she's at 3 or 4 different furniture places. Ashley Furniture, Rooms to Go, American Signature Furniture. She basically has the unlimited checkbook, and she's just running rampant in her mind. All right, red flag here. Masculine men do not live this way. Men provide structure, and men will wait. They will they have a better sense of delayed gratification than we do. Especially when you buy a house, or if you're buying a house, you want to be very careful about, nobody buys a house, furnishes it from top to bottom, appliances from top to bottom. But again, she hasn't dated the caliber of men that would say, hey, we need to wait on this. We can do little things, but we can't just go everywhere. She's got, in her eyes, the type of man that's like, sure, I'll take you here, I'll take you there, because he's picked up on the signs that she's not really discerning she's just going with it. But if you notice what she said at the end, by the next month, she starts recording things privately because her gut is telling her something is wrong. But she's either too stubborn or too embarrassed to kind of say, all right, let me pump the brakes here and really observe. So I wanted to catch that. Lucy, what would you add?
Thank you, Saint, for that incredibly generous super. Is it a super chat with the comment? Yeah, it's all about her. And another thing that I noticed was that, okay, sorry, my husband's trying to make himself a plate over there. I made him this shredded beef with rice and plantains and fried cheese. So he's fixing it because I knew we were gonna have this discussion now. So I prepped in advance. So it was really interesting to see how she was going crazy over all the appliances, the furniture. But in my head, I'm thinking, well, if you're going to be married to him, you're going to be also be responsible for that amount that's coming in and paying it off. How is that not working in your head? How that stuff is not adding up for the relationship? So again, it's like she was living in some type of reality that I don't know, average women that have had relationships like that would think about how will all that cost impact us in the end. So it seems that she wasn't even thinking about that. She was looking at the beautiful, just the illusion rather than reality.
That is such a good point, Lucy. If we are moving towards marriage, and ladies, we should. A lot of times, modern women, we can be selfish. We just think, okay, what's mine is mine and what's his is mine. But no, if you really think about the family, the unit, the legacy, you want to be careful about spending and overspending. It would be wise to say, hey, babe, are you sure? I know we just spent a lot on this. Do we really need to do that? No, she has thrown caution to the wind and she is just riding off into the sunset that she thinks of. Yeah, blown away. She's more comfortable with being embarrassed and going through this, but a lot to learn. All right, let us continue.
It was something just made me just start recording my thoughts in an audio diary, and I still have them. And I would save them by the date, and I would just start talking about what's on my mind. So I was like, I knew there was something was nagging me, like. But I kept pushing it out of my mind. I was like, you saw, this is what I reminded myself. You saw him pay for the appliances. You know the house is under contract. You know that he told you that he's the one who put the house under contract. Why would, like, I remember saying to myself, why would he lie about that? This is so easy to verify. Why would he lie about that? Have you caught him in any other lie? And at the time, the answer was no. So I really was like, maybe you just aren't used to a guy who actually does what he's supposed to do. Like I was questioning myself and then answering my own questions. So inspection didn't happen. Around mid-May, I found out I was pregnant. May 2020. When I found out I was pregnant, he was ecstatic and I was like, oh shit. The reason why I was oh shit is because number one, I'm plus size. Number two, because of my age, I felt like it was probably going to be a high risk pregnancy. And I wasn't married. And that nagged. I cannot tell y'all how much it nagged me. There was a lot of internal struggle in between. My family didn't even know that he had moved in at this point. I told them, that I was pregnant, went to the doctor, everything looked good. But again, because it was COVID, he couldn't go in with me into the actual room. So, doing any sort of ultrasound, doing the blood test, because my HCG levels were really high. So the doctor was like, hey, it might be twins. We don't know yet. You're still kind of early, along.
Oh my goodness. All right. So if it wasn't serious now she's expecting. And I have to be honest, ladies, there is absolutely no excuse for this. You are, number one, not married, living with a man, and then with all of this other chaos going on, the stress about, is he telling the truth? I'm recording things, something's not right. You allow yourself to get pregnant. And the reason I say allow, she's over 35 because, she said this was going to be a high risk pregnancy. We know how to prevent it when we don't want to. But she, again, just threw caution to the wind and thought everything was just going to throw it up in the sky and just magically fall into place. That's not how this works. For her to know this man for 5 months, I think I said this on a previous stream, it's going to take 2 years from the time that you meet someone that I would say I would feel comfortable that we're married. A year of, do we like each other? Do we want to date? Do we want to date exclusively? Then relationship, meeting the family, going through life together, watching their routine, and then an engagement, planning a wedding, and getting married. So now she's in a situation where there's another life that's going to be brought into all of this chaos, and it's just inexcusable. What would you add, Lucy?
And it's interesting because she found embarrassing letting her family know anything about the man, but she told the family about the pregnancy. So again, that's really interesting on where the priorities are and how that situation seemed to be completely backwards. So again, it's really challenging to relate because again, I know that if I was ever in a situation like that, my mom, my dad, my entire family, my cousins, my nephews, everybody would be around me, guiding me through, my bad decisions. And 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 the fact that she felt that it was not a priority to tell anybody around her, any close um, family member about this man was incredibly, for me, irresponsible and also dangerous because she doesn't know this man. For 5 months, you don't know if this man could have been a serial killer on is she from West Coast, East Coast, wherever coast that that he's from. So again, it's really interesting. Thank goodness that, at the end it all worked out for her. But this is a cautionary tale on just when you think something is wrong, you gotta share it. You have to talk to people and say, hey, this is what's happening, and listen to the guidance of those who love you.
Yes, I agree. And Thane says here, pragmatic men always err on no initially. After deliberations, that might be a yes. And I know, we're coming down a little hard, but ladies, we have to do better in our decision making. She had all of these red flags going on inside, and she intentionally avoided them. And I'll disagree slightly, Lucy. When we say it worked out well for her, one of the things that strikes me is that this happened in 2020. And for anyone who's just catching up on this, she's recounted this story. It's 2024. She has not dated since. She has basically said that she doesn't trust. I don't know if a real relationship is in her future. Obviously, this relationship ended. But ladies, this is what happens. This is the damage that we get ourselves into when we just disregard all of these red flags and go all the way down into a relationship, hiding it from other people because this is not right. And it affects your future. So you may survive, you may win that battle, but you may be really scarred and lose the war. All right, so let us continue.
Um, they gave me a due date. The due date was January 26th of 2021. So yeah, May, found out I was pregnant. So there was now more of a push into, we got to get a house. We got to get the fuck up out of here. I'm not having a baby in Riverdale. Okay, nothing against Riverdale, but I ain't having a baby in Riverdale. So we need to find out what's going on with this house. And so he was on top of it. He had an answer for everything. He was like, I'm gonna call and find out what's going on, blah blah blah. He then magically told me about a week later, oh, they're going to do inspection on the house like in 2 days. So I was just like, okay, keep in mind, I'm taking his word for it. I'm taking his word for all this. So he's like, they're going to do an inspection. Once we get the inspection report back, then we will know what we are going to be responsible for. What are we getting ourselves into? So, I guess they did an inspection. He showed me an inspection report. Only thing that they said that the roof had just recently been replaced, which I remember he was very happy about. And the issues that there were for the house were minor. It was not a bad, because we did have a discussion about it. He was like, it's nothing that we can't handle. Then he said that we were set to close the end of May. We were set to close the end of May. He told me it was going to be a virtual closing. You're probably like, what the hell is a virtual closing? Because again, he's saying because of COVID, people are not closing in the office. They're doing a virtual closing where you would need to electronically sign the paperwork. This is what he's telling me. And so he was like, we're set to close like just before Memorial Day. And so for some reason, again, there's still that nagging part. For some reason, I didn't.
All right, it was buffering or something for me. So let's unpack this and then we'll finish it out. So now she's pregnant and you heard her say, so now there's even more of a push. We got to get this house. We got to get this house. I'm not having a baby here. We got to get this house. So if our hair was not already on fire, now we've added gasoline to the fire. And, any of us who, if you've, been pregnant or had a baby, that there's so much happening in your body. We're not always rational, but she's not in an ideal situation at all. Number one, she's not married. She's living with a stranger and just kind of going with whatever he says because she wants it so bad. She's not being discerning. And if you heard her, she said, I still had that nagging thing. She still knew that this wasn't right, but come heck or high water, she was going to make it happen. What would you add, Lucy?
She said, we got to get this house instead of saying, we got to get married. We have to get married, knowing that the child was coming. I don't care whether there's a house or I live in a card box. I want that child to know that when he's born, we are married. And again, that's it. It's a different way of seeing things. And I think that we need to start changing, again, to the traditional mindset of you get married, then you have a child.
Here to that. I'm sorry. And look, if you're here, you believe in traditional gender roles. I have had 2 long-term relationships, a marriage and a long-term. Lucy's married. Ladies, it is important. I know a lot of modern culture is going to say, oh, it's just a piece of paper. Well, if it's just a piece of paper, why do we apply so much pressure after we've wasted our youth when we try to strong arm a man into giving us what we want? I agree with Lucy. The priority should have been, are we married? You can be married and live in an apartment, live in a duplex. You could even rent a room if you had to, but that family unit is so important. You don't want to have illegitimate children because that's what they are. And I'll share because he's allowed me to. I've had the absolute honor of talking to Thane, and children get their identity from their father. I mean, my boys have my ex-husband's name, and it's so important when you just are willy-nilly out here just like having kids just because, then you're going to try and patch it back together after the fact, and it's never the same. It's so much better if you start small and modest but with your family unit intact, then get the house and all those other things. But you all are seeing the theme here. She's out in front, she's pushing it, it's going to happen no matter what, and it just kind of blows up in front of her. All right, let's see if we can finish the last piece of this video and then we will wrap up.
Start packing. Anyone that knows me will tell you I hate moving. I've done it enough in my life. I hate moving. But I did not start packing up that house at all. I was just like, I'm pregnant. My body was changing so fast that it was like I can barely keep my eyes open half the day. And so, no, I didn't start packing. And I remember I did record, again, I was recording audio diaries just about every day. When something didn't sit right, I would verbally record it in the audio diary because I was like, I don't know what it is, but there's something. That was the theme of our relationship. I don't know what it is, but I know there's something. And so I remember talking to myself in my little prayer closet because that's where I would do my recordings. And I remember thinking, what if we don't get this house? Like, what if he's lying? But again, there goes that thought process of, why would he lie about this? Like, who makes up that they're buying a house when in fact they're not? And then he's showing you all this paperwork. Like, come on, you can't be that jaded that you don't even believe what's in front of you. All right? So now we're going to go into part 5.
All right, everyone. So she took the words right out of my mouth, but I hope you all heard her say, every time I felt something, I went to go record it. She didn't say, I told my best friend, I told my mother, I told my brother, my father, I talked to him. She never opened her mouth to say, you know what, I got this weird feeling, because she knew what the truth was, but she just didn't want to do anything about it, because once you know, you have to act on it. That was a huge red flag. The other thing is that, she's just allowing this to happen. And if you heard her, she said, this was the theme of our relationship. I had this feeling that something's just not right. I can't put my finger on it, but that was the theme. Ladies, we are human. Every once in a while, people make mistakes. But a theme or a pattern, that is who he is. That is who you are. That is who this situation is. Patterns don't just pop up out of nowhere. So you're basically hitching your wagon to a life of chaos and being unpredictable. What would you add, Lucy?
I like the part that you said that it doesn't sound like she ever talked to him and say, hey, I'm looking at these things. What's going on? Because again, he's already scared her on that first blowout that he had. So again, instead of her going to him and say, you know what, it's going to be what it is. And if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. She decided to keep it to herself and start recording the guy. That is not normal behavior from anybody in the real world. I don't ever remember recording my husband because I didn't think something wasn't happening. I would come to him and say, hey, babe, this morning you said something that really I didn't understand. Can you explain it to me? And then we have the discussion. So that's really interesting that she was moving in such a secretive way that this is the consequence. And again, you are right, maybe when you said, when you disagreed a little bit with me on the outcome, because yeah, now she's not going to trust anybody. But for me, I saw the outcome. She got, signed up by this, company to tell her story. She's probably going to get a book. All the material stuff is going to be there for her. But on the emotional side, that's going to be her loss.
So true. So we'll come to what you all say and then we wrap up. If you are in this space, you believe that relationships are important. And, as an older woman, I've seen it. Like I said, a reformed modern woman. Sometimes I used to think that the accomplishments and, the big job and big degrees and all of that really means something. Ladies, if you want relationship, believe me, the older that you get, the more you're going to value the real relationships that you have created. And to Lucy's point, if you all are following ReesaTeesa now, she's been on TV shows, she's been on Good Morning America, she's been on the Tamar show, she's traveling now and telling her story. And there may be some commercial success, yes. But at the end of the day, when you put your head on that pillow, you know if there's anybody emotionally invested in you. You know if anybody really cares how you are today, or they're just like, okay, you're trending right now. Come tell us your story. Come open up, all of your embarrassing moments and share with us. Now, she put it out there, and so I guess, she has the right to capitalize on it, and we're learning from it. But when this fades and the next thing is trending, she will still have the scars and the damage that she allowed into her life. Let's see what you all are saying in the chat. Lisa says, yes, my dad and brother would have shared him, would have scared him off for sure. Absolutely. Those of us with father, it's just normal. Men are like, who is that? What are his intentions? Like, that's just how men are. And they sniff each other out in a way that we women can't, because men check each other. They know what the BS is. They know who the, unreliable ones are in the group, in the wolf pack, and they get kind of scared off. Exactly. Absolutely. So it's so important, ladies. We need to listen to the men in our lives. We have to. We have to. Yes. Or your trusted friends. But you all saw the theme. She didn't really share what was happening because she knew. She just met him online in January. Now they're shopping for a house, expecting and living together in May. Absolutely not. And we want that quality in men. What does Thane say? I was not having a baby in Riverdale, but we got to get this house. Yeah. You see the sense of urgency that is not, that could have been prevented if you had done things, the right way, in order. Yes, we need our fathers. Absolutely. Yeah, we want what we want, ladies. Oh my goodness. Sometimes we're chaos. Yeah. It's sad and true. This will change her life forever. It has changed her life forever. If you follow her, and I'm so grateful that we can learn from this, but she has said she hasn't dated since, and this was 4 years ago, ladies. So, as an older woman now, if she's close to 40, what are her options really? So what would you say to close us out, Lucy?
It's so sad because now she's probably not going to trust anybody. I see Jeff Short's question. So, do you ladies think Risa made this as a PSA for women to pay attention, red flags, or do you think she did it for clout on social media? That's a great question. Um, I'm not sure what her motives were. I do know that smart women are hopefully learning from that situation, whether it's true or not. Hopefully it's the truth that she's telling, and and the younger generation will start paying attention to those red flags from the beginning and not to the end as she did. And again, she ended up pretty unscathed because she didn't lose financially. She did lose a lot emotionally, but it could have been worse. That's how I feel.
Oh my goodness, it absolutely could have been worse. And good question, Jeff. I think what I remember from the very first episode, she said that, she had some friends that could verify that this happened, but I don't know. But I would guess since this happened in 2020 and she's still recounting it, this was probably something that was part of her. It's become part of her identity. It was part of the conversation, and girl, can you believe, and all of that. Because I don't know if I could tell a story from 4 years ago that was that with this much detail if it hadn't been still top of mind, which just goes to show she was not in the space to be able to have a real relationship, because she's still 4 years ago, she's still living that the way she was able to tell it. Now, again, I don't know why she did it. We're here to learn from it. But ladies, that's another red flag and lesson. We have all had relationships that didn't end the way that we wanted. But as soon as you know that this is not a match for marriage or long term, you need to exit with grace, learn what you can from it, heal, get better, and then move on to something that's actually viable. Because when you stay in these type of relationships, ladies, you damage yourself, and then you reduce your odds of really being able to connect with someone and open up and trust and be loving the way we women should be, if you want something traditional. Yes, I give her credit for sharing too, and I reached out for permission to share so we could all learn from this. Bella says it'd be interesting to know what was her previous relationship history before then. Did she go to her family for advice or no, or not? I don't know, but again, the way she's acting as a 35 plus year old woman to meet a man in January, move in within 2 weeks, go house hunting, furniture shopping, appliance shopping, and get pregnant within a 6 months time frame. That tells me that this is basically her Hail Mary, that she hasn't had solid relationship history, because you would not be so reckless with your decision making if you had a good foundation of relationships. Even if they didn't end up with marriage, what my man says is, ladies, you should only date the caliber of men that you would marry. Because if the relationship ends, at least you know how masculine men move. You know how they talk and how they don't talk. You know how they prove themselves. You get to see what a real man is. And then you can take that into the next relationship if you have to move on. Anything else, Lucy?
He was your significant other is correct. Real men, they're not going to go after the relationship ends. They're not going to go and share whatever happened with the relationship, which we see a lot here in social media. So again, that's the quality of men that you should be dating. A masculine man, once the relationship is over, he moves on, and there's no talking badly, neutrally, or anything about the previous relationship. They just move on.
All right, everybody. Well, we are going to wrap up, but if you enjoyed this, come back tomorrow night. Lucy and I will be here for the Wives Club. It's usually on Friday. One of us is traveling again. I know, I'm going to Florida for a movie premiere for YouTube. I know. But we will be back tomorrow on the Wives Club channel to give you more relationship and femininity and life lessons from two older women, 48 and 57. This is our absolute joy to give back. So, with that note, we're going to go ahead and dismiss. We will see you all tomorrow. It'll be 9 p.m. Eastern. I'll tag it on my socials. Thank you all for the engagement. Thank you so much, everybody who was new here. Thank you, Salty, for the $10 super chat. We appreciate you so much coming in the first time and giving. But you all know him and you love him. On your way out, if you would please put Thanos, Thane, Mufasa, whatever you call him, with honor. We are so grateful for your $200 super chat, but also all of your wisdom and advice and support. We appreciate it. All right, everybody, we will see you all tomorrow night on the Wives Club. Until then, adios.